Brother lads, welcome back to the COSSY Arsenal podcast. My name is COSSY. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is your latest Arsenal news and transfer news as well. We are back with Glenn for the COSSY and Glenn podcast. And in this one, we are doing something very interesting. We are actually, going to pick one player Arsenal should sign from every Premier League team. It's a very, very interesting list, and you're going to love it because basically, we do this every single summer. If you're to sign one player from every Premier League team, who do you go for? But first, Glenn, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Football is back and enjoyable, and the Premier League is getting closer. We're now heading into July, so it's going to be very interesting to see how we approach the rest of the transfer window. I'm sure we will get players and obviously the Euros as well. So I'm doing good, man.
Absolutely. So let's get into it. Let's start off with Aston Villa, and both of us have gone with Ollie Watkins. You can see that on your screen. COSSY has gone for Ollie Watkins. Glenn has gone for Ollie Watkins as well. And I'm going to go first on this one. I've gone with Ollie Watkins because I think Arsenal need that goal scorer. There are not so many players that have really proven to me that they can get the job done like Ollie Watkins has done. He's been absolutely sensational last season under Unai Emery. And then it speaks to when a player has a proper manager, what they can do. He's been really, really good. Glenn, why have you gone with Ollie Watkins at Aston Villa? Probably there was Douglas Lewis. We need a midfielder. They have a couple of good defenders as well, and Emi Martinez too. We needed a backup goalkeeper.
Douglas Lewis would have been my second option, but Watkins, in terms of if I wanted any player and if I would go to Aston Villa and get any player, it would have been Watkins. Same applies to, even if you were to ask me right now, any striker in the world, I'd go for Ollie Watkins. 28 years of age. He's an Arsenal fan on top of that. And he was very good. I've always followed him since he was at Brentford. There's a time also I felt like, can we sign this guy? But people are like, nah, Brentford, Championship, no, different level, Premier League. He moved to Aston Villa, I think, for like 45 million or something from Brentford. And I think the last 9 seasons in a row, he has scored double figures. And since coming to Aston Villa, he's been putting up incredible numbers for Aston Villa, running in behind. We've definitely seen, Ollie Watkins at his best several times. He scored against us last season at the Emirates. He scored against us the previous season at Villa Park. There's a time they beat us 3-0 during 2020 there, and he scored a double. So we've seen Ollie Watkins getting a few past us during his time at Aston Villa. Very, very good player. So he would be my choice.
Yeah. The question with Ollie Watkins, I think, is has he blossomed a little bit too late because he's getting to his 30s now? Do you see him like a Karim Benzema, Robert Lewandowski? Someone who can play his career up to 35, maybe.
It's difficult. I think he will be in England. I can't see him going overseas right now. But in terms of reaching the Lewandowski and Ronaldo kind of, playing until 36, 37, maybe not. I think by then we might see him like his game not the same. Like maybe he would have lost a bit of the pace that he has, the strength and the ability that he has. But the goals, he'll always score the goals. But no, not really 35, 36. Maybe I can see another at least 5 years at the top.
Yeah. So if you had to sign one player from Aston Villa, who would that player be? Let us know in the comment box below. Now, let's get to the next one. And the next one is interesting. Bournemouth. We've both gone for different players at Bournemouth. And I understand Glenn's point of view. I hope he understands mine. So he has gone with Luis Sinisterra. I liked Sinisterra. I really, really do. I thought Arsenal could have tried to sign him around 2 years ago when he went to Leeds to replace Rafinha. But I've gone with Milos Kekes. And Glenn, you go first. Why have you gone with Luis Sinisterra?
Now, I've been watching him since the Leeds days, as you've mentioned. He was absolutely incredible. There's a time him and Somerville were absolutely destroying teams in the Premier League. Yes, they still got relegated, but every time he felt like there were 3 players, him, Somerville and Gnonto. Every time they came in, you're like, oh, this guy is going to be dangerous. Yeah. The pace, the ability to dribble. He can play on the left side, the left wing. He can play on the right wing. He can play as a number 10. He can do all that. And in terms of set pieces, is quite good as well in terms of set pieces. I was very close to going for Kluivert, but I haven't seen enough from Kluivert. Yeah. I think Sinisterra, since there's also, from his time at Leeds, I think he's done really well. And in terms of winger, a player who can play both sides. And that is a perfect backup. A player wouldn't really complain a lot about not starting. He'd be able to come off the bench.
Yeah. So when I saw Sinistera, I was like, I see what you've done here. You've gone with someone who can, literally back up Saka and someone who cannot, really complain for a lot of minutes. Now, for me, where I've gone with Milos Kerkesh is that, story in the news that Arsenal are looking for a proper left back, someone who can defend, someone who can attack, someone who can add pace to the left hand side, someone who's a little bit younger and can develop it with the team. Milos Kerkesh is the perfect example of one of those players that can sign for your club one season and he absolutely moves on, like Cucurella did, for Brighton, and then he moves over to Chelsea. So for me, Kekesh is again a super talent. He's ranked among the top 10 talents under the age of 22 right now, and that tells you everything you have got to know about him. We have seen him at the Euros. I think we'll see more of him at this tournament. He's going to be getting better, and he's part of that young Hungarian team that is definitely developing. The question I would ask you with Milos Kerkesh, do you see him develop into a proper top level fullback at at a club like Arsenal, maybe Chelsea, maybe City, maybe Tottenham? Okay. Looks like I
Okay,
lost.
yeah.
All
No,
right.
I'm okay. I
All
was
right.
muted. Apologies.
All right.
So for Kerkez, I thought you were about to say at Bournemouth, but no,
Yep.
not at Bournemouth. If he goes to a different team, then
Mm.
100% he can be, he can go to that level. I've not seen enough of him. I've only seen him last season, but he's been linked to several teams. And in terms of what you're looking for as a left back, then he would probably be a good choice. But for me, my left backs are coming from different teams.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll get into the left back. So Bournemouth, Sinistera, I like. Milos Kekesh, I like. Clivert, I like, but I've not seen enough of him. I think one more season would tell us whether he's a player that really plays under, plays well under that particular manager, who is a player that can actually adapt to, the whole of the whole of the
I
Premier
thought you'd
League.
go for Solanke.
No, I didn't consider Solanke. I didn't have him in my list.
Mhm.
Next is Brentford. And Brentford, Glenn has gone with Johan Wissa. I've gone with Matthias Jensen. I really do like Matthias Jensen, and I think for me, for Brentford, I want to say this: whenever I watch them, Jensen is my best player for them, apart from Ivanson. I think that season where they had Tony, topping the charts. Tony was the best player, no question about that. But last season, whenever I've watched them with Matthias Jensen, they've been very, very good. And Thomas Frank at times has actually left him on the sidelines. I don't know why, but he's such a good player and he's such a midfield presence. So with the likes of Jorginho getting old, with the likes of Partey not that available, if Arsenal failed to get a permanent player to replace Partey in this window, and to work with Jorginho in this window, I would go and get Matthias Jensen. So the role I would give him is just to come in games and add that little bit of energy. He's a bit like Jorginho, but he's a more creative as well. But he's got the legs, he's got the energy, and he's a proper midfield player. Johan Wissa, I can see, did get involved in a couple of goals. Is that the reason why you've gone with him?
Yeah, and also as a backup as well, just like Sinistera, he would be great. He can come
Yeah.
on. He's the player who can come on at left wing. He can come on as a striker. He can come on if you're trying to have two strikers up front. Sometimes he plays on the wing. And something that we've seen from him is he's able to take responsibility. Like when Tony went out and Buemo was also injured, people are like, Brentford is finished. But no, he stepped up and he started scoring the goal, started assisting. He was, he blossomed under that pressure. So I saw enough from him in terms of that. In terms of quality, obviously it might not be on the levels of Arsenal, but there's not too many. I wouldn't take Tony right now. Probably many people would say Tony, but there's not too many others. I was thinking of their defenders back in the day. I liked the guy called Henry at left back, but I think he's been injured. I see why I've gone for Jensen. I was even thinking about Mbeumo, but it was like maybe as a backup for Saka, but this would be the one. He can score goals. There's no ability that completely stands out, like in terms of dribbling or pace or anything like that, but he's a nuisance for defenders. He always gives defenders a hard time every time.
I tell you what, I thought about Mbeumo. I really, really thought about him. But I look at our system and then I look at Thomas Frank's system at Brentford, and I'm like, Mbeumo, Not really, not really. I
Mm.
think Brentford like to play that kind of low block. At times they want to have players that can run and spring. I don't think Arsenal really looking to do that now. In some games, maybe we could do that, but again, I don't see him as the player that Arsenal would use in terms of counter attacks, in terms of breaking. I don't see him as that. So, which I would agree with, but I wouldn't really take him before Mbeumo. I think I would take Mbeumo
Mm.
before. I would take Johan Wissa. But I mean, people have said he looks like Thierry Henry, does it? For
No
me,
chance.
for, for, for me, he actually looks like Diaby, Vasil Kampo
Mm.
Diaby.
No
That's
one
the
looks
guy.
like Thierry Henry.
Brighton. I've gone with Joao Pedro at Brighton, and you're undecided. You've gone with Gross, who I really, really like. And then Solimatch. And again, Solimatch, I understand, the reasoning. Now, for me, with Joao Pedro, I can see him develop into a Luis Suarez. Now, maybe not that kind of really box number 9 that is going to, push the defenders, just try to, go with them physically. But I can see him, turn into a very clean, clinical, goal scorer and forward. I mean, he's got a lot to his game. As a forward, can beat a man, can score a good goal. I think his running is okay. I think it's a little bit of is it Brazilian really?
He is Brazilian.
So I mean, I look at some of his clips even before coming to Brighton, and I'm like, this guy, if he could start finishing off his chances, if he could remove all this playfulness in his game, he's got a very, very big ceiling. Gross, Solimatch, why are you undecided?
Let me add something on Joao Pedro before I come to this too. There's a time I wanted Joao Pedro from Watford. We were linked to
Yep.
him, and I was like, no,
Yep.
because he was like kind of a Bruno, like always complaining
Mm,
to referees and all that, and I didn't like that. And he's a bit greedy on the ball at Watford. But I think what Brighton have seen a different player. Now, for March and Gross, the reason I'm undecided is because of Gross' age. So Gross would be my first option. He's very
okay.
good, like in terms of the way he controls the game in
Yeah.
midfield, like the passes in midfield, the crossing, doesn't pick up too many yellow cards. And we've seen Germany, when they take off Andrich, they bring in Gross because they need someone in
Gross,
that
yeah.
midfield. He's very good at set pieces, holding the ball and controlling the midfield. It's been
Yeah.
very, very good since he joined them from, I don't remember the exact team, from
His
Germany. Yeah.
versatility is
He's
insane.
good. He can play central midfield, attacking midfield, right back. I've
Left
seen him
back.
playing at right wing. Yeah. But the reason I've chosen the second option as well is because Gross is 33, turning 34. So that's a bit too much. We wouldn't really sign a player like that. So March is 29, but he also has a problem with injuries, especially this
Injuries,
past
yeah.
season with Mitoma. Has been picking up injuries. But if you're
And,
looking
and
for
this
a backup,
season he's had he's had a good season. If not for injuries, best player at Brighton maybe.
yeah, if you're not looking for someone who's flashy in terms of name, like Bakayoko, Kudos.
Yeah.
You can go for someone like a match to back up Saka. He'll be able to be on the bench. He can play on the left side. He used to play as a left back, right back. He can do all that. So that's the reason I'm undecided. One has a few injuries, and the other one's age is not that much. If you combine the two and reduce the age, perfect.
Yeah. Now, for me, the one I would go for is Pascal Gross. Even at 33, he's the one I would go for. I think for what we are looking for, that guy is perfect for it. And that would be like one season maximum. I wouldn't see him go beyond one more season, right?
Yeah.
But he would be perfect for us. Like, just imagine having Declan Rice, and then you have a player like Pascal Gross behind him, just passing the ball, confident, very brave as well on the ball. We've seen him for Germany as well at the Euros. For you to play for Brighton, and with the amount of talent that German have in those areas, likes of Julian Brandt, and the manager has gone for Gross, it explains everything you do know. And I think he's one of the players you really associate with Brighton. When you're playing Brighton, you're like, oh, where is Pascal Gross, or where's Pascal Gross going to play? Even when we beat them 2-0 in the first leg, he nearly created a chance and he nearly scored. That is how dangerous he actually is. So I hear you on that one. I would go with Gross, there. Now, this one might not sit well. This one might not sit well, but when I picked Cucurella, I never thought that you are going to pick Marco Cucurella. I thought, and I picked him because of this the performances for Spain. That's why I picked him, and I'm like, if he's played for Del Fuente this well, he will definitely play for Mikel Arteta this well as well. And of course, you remember his time at Brighton. Brighton, Arsenal, and Spain have got so many characteristics in similar as compared to the managers he's played under. For Chelsea, Thomas Tuchel, Potter, Maresca, and of course Potter was the guy that worked with him, but I think the system just didn't come around. Now, for me, Marco Cucurella at left back, defensively, he has given us a reason to trust him, and we have seen it at the Euros where we have a lot of entertaining games, high intensity games. Nations would be targeting him, but they are not. And even if the ball is played into his own half, you're sure he's got the ability to deal with it. So for me, we are looking for a left back. This guy is a proper left back. Did you think the same?
Yeah, I was looking at the Chelsea team and I'm like, there's not too many. I'm not going to pick Sterling. I'm not going to pick Disasi and all those players.
It's crazy how you don't have many players to pick from, with Chelsea signing almost 10 players every window.
Yeah, now Cucurella, I know Chelsea fans would say, they would probably laugh like they did with Havertz and Jorginho and they gave them to us. But Cucurella, in terms of what I've seen for Spain and sometimes for Chelsea, really good. People don't target him. Every time someone is going to go past him, he is always there making tackles. Is the way he said, intensity, feisty, blocking the ball. I think he made like 2 goal clearances in the first and second games for Spain. He's jumping there with his head, clearing the ball. Spanish, just like Arteta and Ryan, it fit in so perfectly. He does not mind like carrying the ball and going forward with it. He can push up with it. Like another player that I picked up on this list as well. He might not be the best of the defenders, but he does have some good defensive abilities in terms of the tackling and the blocking of the ball. He's not scared of to put his body on the line. And he does probably have the best hair in the Premier League.
Apart from if Calafiori would
joined.
arrive. Now, Chelsea paid around 50 million for him and Chilwell. Both left backs have not given them real joy, so they're literally looking at 100 million there, not really delivering. But if they decided to move on one left back and it's Cucurella, would you pay them 50 million?
That's the problem. Now, that is not my priority in terms of the positioning. So I wouldn't really spend 50 million on a defender, especially a left back. So no, I wouldn't pay that money. But if it can be available for like 30 million, yes. Also, you've mentioned the 50 million they paid. He was really good at Brighton.
Yeah, it was really good. I mean, I would pay around 30 million if they are willing to listen to such an offer, around 30 million. And I would take him. And I know he would actually come good under Mikel Arteta. Now, another player that would come under Mikel Arteta for me is that boy, Watson at Crystal Palace. You've gone with Mark Gahey. This is like you've stolen my target, but I was really, really, really undecided. This is where I was really undecided. I was not even undecided between Olise and Eze. I was undecided between Watson because we've not seen much of him. And then Gahey, who's kind of, really proven internationally capped at a big tournament. He's been the best player for England ever since the Euros started. He's at Crystal Palace is untouchable. Literally, when you play Crystal Palace, that is the guy you've got to look out for. He's insane. But I've gone with Watson because he's also taken the Premier League by storm. I would like to say the way Cucurella did when he came in at Brighton. He's signing in January and then you straight away come into the Premier League and you're playing at that level. You're playing that well. It's insane. But the reason I as well have gone with him is the reason Gareth Southgate was complaining about Calvin Phillips. I think this could be the future. Watson, Odegaard, and Rice. That could be the future. I could see that midfield work. I think there's a lot of balance there, but he's got a lot of things to develop in his game. So probably I would side with you with Mark Gahey. So why have you gone with Gahey? Do you think we really desperately need a person like Gahey?
Nah, not desperately. I would keep Gabriel and Kivio. But from Crystal Palace, I was thinking first Eze.
Yep.
And then I was like, No, that number 8 position, unless we didn't have Odegaard at Arsenal, then I'd be looking for
Mm.
someone like an Eze. I also looked at Mitchell, but was like, nah, I'd rather get the one who can play in 2 positions. Mitchell cannot really play as a centre back.
Yeah.
So Gay can play as a centre back and as a left back, and you've seen his performances for England really, really good. He's basically kept Maguire out, Southgate's favourite player of all time. And at Crystal Palace, he's captained the team a couple of times. Is he a couple of times actually full captain? If I'm not wrong,
Yeah.
I think he's actually could
Yeah.
be the captain, and he's played really well that combination with Anderson at the back, and he's not the best in terms of like defending aerial balls, and I don't think he's the strongest in terms of that. But when you have Gabriel and Saliba and players like that around you, then you can get away with that. But from what I've seen the last 1 year, I think he's been really good. And people have been talking nicely about him ever since he was at Chelsea's academy. Yes, they sold him. And I think he's continuing to grow and grow and grow every single season at Crystal Palace. I can't see him staying there for too long.
I'm honestly, if there was one player that you tip to go from Crystal Palace next at more than 50 million, I would say Gehi. With Eze, those few injuries at times, then with attacking players, they can really, really dip off form. With defensive players, they can go like 3 years consistent playing at a top level. So with Gehi, won't be surprised if someone picks him up for like 60 million, somewhere between this window and next window. Everton, we have again come to consensus. This is Glenn's boy. This is Glenn's player. But I've gone with Brentford because when I think about a centre back I like, a centre back I envy that another club has, this is one of the guys. Together with Bastoni, I'm like, how do we not have him? But wherever they got him from, however they got him to step up his game into what we are seeing, they've done a very great job. This guy is unreal. So, would you bring in Brentwaite and drop Gabriel or drop Saliba?
And Gabriel and Saliba are not droppable because they're also not that big in terms of age. Gabriel and Saliba are almost the same. Gabriel is the older one, but Brantwaite, as I've always told you, if I can only sign a defender if it's an opportunity. And I think Brantwaite would be an opportunity. That's why you're hearing Liverpool wanted him, United wanted him, and Arsenal wanted him. This is a really good defender, and Everton fans are expecting him to kind of leave because he's very, very good aerial duels. I saw him scoring a very good goal against Brighton last season for Everton, almost like a striker's finish in terms of interceptions and duels and all that. He's very, very good at it, and at only 22 years of age, I think he's been very good this season for them. And Everton was struggling in the Premier League, yes, but they were not struggling defensively. I think they followed us in terms of clean sheet. So Pickford, Brantwaite, Tarkowski.
They had so many defensive attributes they got right, but I think also
at the end of the season they kept like 4 or 5 home clean sheets in a row, something like that, and that's because of Tarkowski, Brantwaite, and the goalkeeper. So Pickford, you know what to expect from him. Tarkowski, ever since his Burnley days, is used to clean sheets and fighting for clean sheets. But Brantwaite, being like a newer player, he's been very good. I don't remember which team he had gone on loan to. I think it's Netherlands, but I didn't want him that much there. But Everton has been really good. And for his age, yes, that is an opportunity if it becomes available.
70 million, you're willing to splash it?
Again, not really, because you already have defenders. 70, 80 million, I'm willing to splashing it in different positions. If you already had a striker and winger, then yes, I think it's an opportunity. But for me, I feel like Gabriel and Saliba could be there to stay for 4 or 5 years, back to back.
100%. Now, another disagreement. At Fulham, you've gone with a player we really, really, really are interested, a position we are interested in, a position that Mikel wants to strengthen. I've gone with a position that we want to strengthen, but with a guy with whose discipline Mikel Arteta wouldn't tolerate, in my opinion. I've gone with Joao Palhinha. And with Joao Palhinha, for me, he's a no-brainer. He's a no-brainer. And I know many clubs don't look at him because of his age and also because of his discipline. This guy can pick up 20 yellow cards a season. He literally can pick up a red card when you need him most. You could have a title run-in where you have Chelsea, City, Tottenham like we had, and then he picks up a red card against Luton and he misses 3 games, right? That is my worry with Joao Palhinha. But he's such a player that when he came in at Fulham, straight away, he took us by storm. He took the Premier League by storm. He was winning, in terms of tackles, making more tackles than any other player, making more interceptions than any other player, getting catch more than any other player, making ball recoveries than any other player. I think apart from Declan Rice. So Palhinha, if he was 25, this one I would see even Arsenal put some money. I would see even a club like Liverpool put some money. But because it's like 28, 29, they're like, for a defensive midfielder of your athleticism, we don't see you have a long career after this, and you're going to cost around 40 to 45 million or even above that. Robinson, talk us into this one because had a good season, didn't he?
Yeah, I know why you're going for Palhinha. My problem is not the age. My problem is
Yep.
exactly what you say, those yellow cards. It means he doesn't really time his challenge, and that's why I've never really put him high on my list whenever everyone is talking about Palhinha. Those are too many yellow cards compared to Rice, who will get like 4 yellow cards in a season. Yes, but in terms of interception and all that, he's been really good, and that's why it probably will go to Bayern. Anton Robinson plays for the USA. Our USA fans are really admire him, and they're like, this is probably one of our best players in the Premier League. In terms of a player who's going to get up and down that wing, if you're looking for that kind of left back, he's really been good at that. Just gotten assists, created chances, then comes back, makes the tackles, goes back the other side. I saw so many Fulham games, especially at the end, especially when he plays against the Man Cities and Uniteds and Liverpool's, and every time I was like, wow, this is actually a very, very good play. He's not getting dominated. We don't see him getting passed consistently by the winger and stuff like that. And when he gets forward, he can put in a cross, he can assist a goal. He's not scared of taking on the other defender. So I think in terms of what you're looking for, a different kind of left back, I think Robinson could be the answer.
I mean, it reminds me a bit of Robertson at Liverpool. That energy just to run the line and work it up and down. So if we're looking for something different and we could get him, I could see him, but Palhinha, I really, really do. Leicester City have been just promoted to the Premier League, and we all agree that one of their best players last season was Kenan Dewsbury-Hall. And both of us have actually gone with Kenan Dewsbury-Hall. Now, for me, I think there is an element of interest from Arsenal in Dewsbury-Hall. And there was a time, I think, was it in January or last summer, where Arsenal were actually linked with him, but it didn't materialize into anything. I don't know how exactly Mikel Arteta would plan to line up with him, because I don't see him as the guy that replaces Partey or Jorginho. Actually, he would push Rice a little bit further back, and then he would put, walk into that number 8 role. But his quality at Leicester last season and even before last season, undisputed. Apart from his finishing, which I don't like. I really don't like his finishing.
Yeah, my analysis comes from the previous season, not even really his championship season. It was like before they got relegated, and he was kind of their standout player. They were great that season, and every time I watched Dewsbury-Hall, I was like, yeah, this guy is really, really good. You're right, he'd been more of a number 8 than a number 6.
Number 6.
He can create those chances, and he's comfortable on the ball. He can run in the ball, kind of like a younger, I'd say, James Maddison or something. He can get in between the lines there and make a pass. And in terms of Leicester, there's not too many options. I'm not a fan of their defense. I'm not a fan of their goalkeeper. There's a couple of players in the winger position are really going to go for Vardy, unless we are doing this video in 2017. And so it's definitely going to be KDH. If you want our own version of KDB, KDH.
Definitely. Now, next, Liverpool. I've gone with Callagher. You've gone with McAllister.
Wow,
and the reason that's why I've gone with Callagher is you don't get many backup goalkeepers better than this, do you? Like his quality last season, insane, absolutely insane. And he's a guy that is not complaining of game time, by the way. I think you would feel really overshadowed by a guy like Alisson in goal as compared to David Raya. With Raya, you feel like he's not that world class of a goalkeeper yet, so you could overthrow him. You could make a mistake here and there. This and that. Something could happen. Clubs could think about buying Raya, but with Alisson, no club is going to try to sign Alisson from Liverpool. This guy is already world class, best in the world, and he's there. And when he needed to step up, he stepped up. So when you need a backup goalkeeper, this is a guy I would take.
I would never have guessed that you'd taken even if you had to give me 10 guesses, I would not have had him in the top 10 guesses. But I see what you're saying. That's very good backup goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Alexis McAllister, I mean, I've always wanted him since he was at Brighton, even
Yeah.
before he won the World
30
Cup, and him playing
million. 30
30 million.
million.
That was a bargain. And him being in midfield with Rodrigo De Paul and those guys and
Yeah.
Enzo for Argentina and helping them win the World Cup, and him moving to Liverpool, people are like, nah, it's just Brighton. He's not going to make that step up to Liverpool. He did. He moved to Liverpool. He made that step up. He's played really, really well. He's passing in midfield. You never know sometimes where he's going to play, number 6 or number 8.
Number 8, yeah.
He's very good from set pieces since his Brighton days. Remember, he's scoring a last-minute penalty against United. Pressure, he's very good under those situations. And, the tackling and the passing in midfield, great. But the only concern I have about him, just the same as Palhinha, I think sometimes too many unnecessary yellow cards.
Yellow cards, yeah. I mean, it's interesting how he's Argentine, but I just think Liverpool have to be the best club at navigating the market. Like, how did Arsenal not even try to get this guy? How did Man United not try to get this guy? How did Liverpool just get him without any competition? It reminds me of when they got Sadio Mane, while all of us were watching, and Mane went on to become one of the greatest Premier League players we have ever seen in the Premier League era. Same with McAllister. I see him become something very special. Manchester City, there. Julian Alvarez, Erling Haaland. I've gone with Julian Alvarez because I think that he needs game time, and I've also gone with Julian Alvarez because I think in Mikel Arteta's mind he would be settled because he would be replacing Gabriel Jesus' project that didn't work. He presses a lot, he runs. His game off the ball is good. His game, without possession is good, and also in terms of finishing, clinical, at least for Argentina. Haaland, undisputable. Like, he's a fact that we cannot dispute.
I was looking at that team. I was like, okay, yeah, probably I would say Foden. I would say Rodri.
Yeah.
I would say this one, yes. But
so many.
We already in
like,
my head, you already have players who can. In my head, I'm like, we already have players who are like that. Saka, Foden, a lot of comparisons. Rice, Rodri, a lot of comparisons. The one that we don't have is Haaland. Like, if we had Haaland there, even the way we play, even if he doesn't fit into the whatever, those chances, he would score like 100 goals for us in a season, because those kind of chances that we create, man, he would be absolutely enjoying himself. And I wanted him the time he was at, the first time I watched Haaland, he played for Norway he scored 8 goals, I think. And I tweeted, I still have that tweet. That is one of my best scouting moments. I tweeted and I said, there's this kid who's currently playing for Norway, has got 8 or 9 goals or something. Man, this guy is going to be really good. I didn't know, like, after a couple of years, he'd end up at Man City. Like, his trajectory was very quick. Salzburg, Dortmund, Man City right away. And, it's not a coincidence that he's broken those records right away. He's looking very good already. And I can only see it going. I can only see it keep going for him. Hopefully not. Hopefully fails next season, but I can only see him keep on scoring goals.
Now,
headers, headers. Right. Like when he puts in a cross, he's powerful. He can just
he's powerful. He's powerful. And actually, I think he doesn't score enough headers. Like, I think it's because of Manchester City's system.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. The next one is going to shock the world, but hang in there. Sofyan Amrabat, I'll take at Manchester United. This is a player.
Thank you for watching the video, guys, because he has lost the plot.
I know. I don't think there's so many players. There's so many people who would actually, take Sofyan Amrabat. But why I would take Sofyan Amrabat, for me, it is the way his game is built. It is the way, it is what he can do vis-a-vis what he has done for Manchester United. Now, we did see some good bits of him during the back end of the campaign. But I think Sofyan Amrabat for Morocco at the World Cup, that is the Amrabat I'm talking about. He's a very, very good player. Sofyan Amrabat for Fiorentina. This is a guy that was wanted by almost each and every club. Bayern wanted him at some point in time. He was linked with Liverpool at some point in time. Barca also wanted him. Actually, during that time, when he was linked with Bayern and Liverpool, he was waiting for Barcelona, who eventually never came through. And then he ends up at Manchester United on loan. Has a disaster of a season, but Manchester United were a disaster overall. I wouldn't judge just one player. But when I think about a perfect Partey replacement, I wouldn't say Amrabat is a perfect Partey replacement, but you can groom him into that, into that role.
First of all, looking at those two players on screen and linking them to us, now I'm getting an unreal anxiety. Like I'm getting anxiety. Now for Amrabat, sometimes also me, I look at those Man United players and Chelsea players, I'm like, is it the team that makes them bad or are they just this bad? Because Amrabat is really good at Fiorentina and he's very good at
Yeah.
Morocco.
World Cup. Yeah.
But again, I was asking myself, is it just the Premier League that is too much for him? Is too quick for him? He needs a bit of time on the ball and all that? For me, no, I wouldn't even have him in my top 3 United list if I was to pick players
I
from
know.
there. But I see why you've gone for him. Now, Bruno. I can't believe I took Bruno. One of the most annoying players in the Premier League.
Annoying players. He
Annoying.
creates a lot,
But
but he
he creates a
complains a
lot.
lot. My God.
This guy, last season, he created the most chances in the Premier League. And, he probably has very few assists because of the likes of Højlund and Rashford don't take those chances, and Martial and those guys. He's very petulant and annoying, arguing with the referees. He's probably not captain material. But if you had him in a team where you have proper leaders, like if you had him in a team with, Lampard and Terry Adams and Vieira, and just shut him up and just tell him focus on the football, he'd be very, very good. He can create chances. And I think if Bruno was not at United, I think they probably finished like 13th or 14th, and they struggled over the last 4 years that he's been there. Like, I think he came right away. He did not need time to adapt. Other players have struggled from Portugal. Him straight away. And listen, if you're in the Champions League and you go to a penalty shootout, we saw Rice can score, Vieira can score, and a lot of other players can score penalties. Well, there's another one you can throw into there.
Yeah. Do you think that City could? No, they can't get him really. But do you think that he would be a good replacement for Kevin De Bruyne?
I think he would. As long as it just takes away that petulance, he's not going to be on the level of De Bruyne, no. But in terms of if you just want someone to create chances, take corners, take free kicks, take penalties, then he's probably a guy. And for Portugal, every time I watch him, he is very good. Like when he's removed from the team, like they struggle.
Yeah. Next up, Newcastle. This is easy. Harvey Barnes, I've gone with. You've gone with Alexander Isak. The reason that's why I've gone with Harvey Barnes is I think he needs to be rescued. And Mikel Arteta is so good at that, just rescuing players and bring them back into the limelight. But I also think that Harvey Barnes will end up at a club like Tottenham or Liverpool for game time, but also because I don't know whether it's the injuries that have limited his game time at Newcastle or because Gordon. But for me, Barnes, I like the way he's direct. There's a game, I think it was against West Ham. He comes on and scores a hat trick, really. And I'm like, okay, this is the guy I know from Leicester City. So this one for me would be an easy pickup for Arsenal. Like, you just got there. I don't think Newcastle would stand in your way if you wanted to sign Harvey Barnes. If his injury record can be dealt with, a player I would take.
I'm still recovering from giving so many compliments to Bruno. I'm feeling sick, feeling a bit sick. Now I see what you're saying about Barnes. I'm unlucky with the injuries last season at Leicester. He was really good. Newcastle made some impact when he came on, even from the first game of the season against Aston Villa. I think he came on and scored and assisted. And people are like, oh, this guy with Gordon and all these guys. People thought he was going to be ahead of Gordon. Now for Isak, again, I just think it's a no-brainer. You're looking for a striker we've been looking for since his Sociedad days. It's been incredible for Newcastle. He's adapted. He's shown his class in Germany for Dortmund, in Spain for Sociedad, in England for Newcastle, 3 different countries. Incredible. And he does not only wait for the ball like in the box, just, for tap-ins and stuff. He can do that. But sometimes if the game gets difficult, he picks up the ball like he did against Man City when they lost 3-2. He gets the ball, he dribbles past defenders and scores. Against Tottenham, he dribbled past Van der Ven, put him on his back twice in that game against Chelsea. And that's another thing. Big game, big goals in big game. He scored against Man City. He scored against Liverpool, I think. He scored against Tottenham for sure twice. He scored against Chelsea. Like, that guy is scoring big goals every single time. He does rarely misses penalties. The penalties I've seen him taking is really good. On top of that, he's played with Odegaard as well. That's to say that.
Yeah. With Isak, my only problem would be don't play him and don't over-rely on him as a center forward. Bring him in as a forward, as part of a forward line, like front 3. and you're going to get the best out of him. No questions there.
Yeah.
Morgan Gibbs White is another, point where we both agreed. And this one, I'm just going to ask you one simple question: does he start for us now?
No, but he's a very good backup for Odegaard. That is the
Yeah,
kind of backup I'd be
yeah.
like absolutely
Like
wonderful.
typical number 10, looking to make things happen
Mhm,
every time he gets on the ball.
mhm. I've
That's
seen a
what I
lot
like
from him,
about
and
him.
he's been very good this past season. And listen, with this combination, the likes of Elanga and Hudson Odoi, he can pick up a pass. I've seen him scoring a few goals this season as well. Set piece is
Yeah.
very good. Typical number 10 is basically like like De Bruyne, Odegaard, Bruno would probably be on the first, second level, and then the very next level
Mm.
you'd have players maybe as Gibbs White and maybe even Madison there as well.
Yeah. So I think the one thing I would say about him, he needs to do a little more of he needs to polish his end product. Actually, that's what I would
Apart
advise,
apart
advise
from
him.
Arsenal, which team would you pick for him in the Premier League to
Tottenham.
take his game to the next level? Yeah, I was
Tottenham.
thinking that as well.
Tottenham. Yeah. And I think if he goes to Tottenham, he becomes like, even at Nottingham Forest, he's like a main guy, but at Tottenham he's given more resources.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
you. It's just because they have Madison, I was thinking, I was second
Yeah.
guessing myself. I'm like, yeah, but
No,
very good player.
he's given more resources to work with, better players, and I think a better project as well.
Yeah.
Southampton, you've gone with
Mm,
Adams. I've gone with
yeah.
another goalkeeper, Bazunu. I think Bazunu is one of those young goalkeepers in that bracket of Callagher, Bazunu, Melier, Trafford. I thought Arsenal would pick up one, but it looks like we're going to be going outside England for a new goalkeeper for a second backup. But Bazunu is one I would pick up. The only problem is that he's now played around 2 seasons for Southampton as first choice. Wouldn't really want to go back into being backup for some guy.
I hear you. I was about to go for him as well.
Mm,
Mainly because this as well. I can't lie to you guys. There's not too many options from Southampton. This
Southampton, yeah.
past season, I mean, they went up through playoffs and stuff. But
Kyle Walker
Adams,
Peters?
I was thinking about him, but I was like, nah. The way
Nah.
we've advanced in
Yeah.
terms, can he do inverted sometimes like Ben White? Can he play 38 games? No. I was like, no. So Adams, I've just gone for him, just because we've seen him scoring goals in the Premier League before, plays for Scotland. He didn't have the best of tournaments over there, but we've seen him playing in the Premier League before and scoring goals in the Championship as well. And if you're looking
Mm.
for like a back, if you've already signed, let's say someone like an Osimhen, and then you're scrambling to get another striker backup, then if you go for someone like a Shadens, I'd be like, okay, bench player, no problem.
These guys, Adams and Armstrong, those are two strikers I would not take like at
I know
all.
what you mean. I know what you mean.
Like I
I
wouldn't
was,
really.
I
Adams
was,
and Armstrong,
I was starving. I was
yeah,
starving for
I
options from this one.
really don't like them. That's the time when they played for Southampton in that season when they got relegated, and
Mm.
Southampton were not the worst team, but those guys were the two worst players in the Premier League by like by a mile. And I was like, how do you guys play a double partnership up top and you're this bad? None of you is actually trying to be this good. Anyway, Southampton, we move on. And we are coming to the end. You've gone with a traitor. I've gone with the fastest player in the Premier League. For me, Van der Ven is generational, honestly. Again, if the Dutch have, I think they do have Delete. If Delete makes that move to Manchester United, we might see Van der Ven and Delete play for the Dutch national team for 10 years with a solid back line. Van der Ven is exceptional. I know it's criminal for an Arsenal fan to heap a lot of praise on a Tottenham player. He is exceptional, honestly. I'll take him. And I think he starts in our back line.
Oh, hell no.
I
No.
think he starts.
You've gone to. I don't think he's a better out and out defender. He has other attributes
attributes.
like the
Mm,
pace and the dribbling, maybe shooting the ball. But in terms of putting someone to mark Haaland, I'd go for Gabriel
I-
ahead of Van der Ven anytime. Anytime. So in terms of just proper defending, I still go for our
left back.
defenders.
Left back.
Yeah, I've seen him
Mm.
playing there. I think he's done well. Um, listen, I still need to see more from him because there's a lot of times he's been asked to defend this season, and I've seen him being put on the floor like 6, 7 times. We
Mm.
rarely see Gabriel and Saliba on the floor, getting through ball pass and not
Do you
aware about
think?
his
Do you
positioning.
think his speed lacks a bit of guidance in decision making, and that's why he ends up on the
Yeah,
floor most many of the times?
He needs to be improved.
Yeah,
I also
yeah.
just think he's not the best of defenders,
Mm.
but he's a very good player. He probably, if you'd sign him and have him a backup, I wouldn't mind. But I guess also another thing with the pace, it's made people feel like, oh, who is this guy? He can shoot the ball and has a lot of pace. But
Yeah.
how many times have we had people saying, wow, Van der Ven,
Mm,
he completely marked out these strikers out of the game?
mm,
Nah,
mm.
you don't hear that.
Yeah.
You always hear, oh, Van der Ven is quick. Oh, Van der Ven out Trent Sterling. Oh, Van der Ven, you kept this guy quiet in terms of pace. Like, it's never really like, oh, this guy really defended. Oh, Gabriel kept Haaland quiet in the game. We've never really had that from Van der Ven. So I'd really need to see the second season.
I like Son, but at his
Yeah.
age, what is the attribute that you picked for Son?
Oh, goal scoring, finishing. It's
Is
very
it
crazy that
still
we
that?
say that.
Is it still that? Is it still that? Is it still that?
Yeah, clearly not. It cost us the Premier League. This guy you're looking at here cost us the Premier League. Now,
Yeah.
Son, out of every single Tottenham player that plays for them right now and previously, this is the only Tottenham player I usually look like at, and I'm like, he's a good guy. He's not. He's
Yeah.
like, if you see his
Yeah.
interviews and stuff,
Yeah.
he's such a
He doesn't
humble
look like
guy.
he doesn't seem Tottenham.
Yeah, he would be great in our team. Would fit great in our team in terms of the culture and stuff, humble and all that. He can play on the left side. He can play as a striker. His pace, he one-on-one finishing. Yes, he missed a couple, but he's really good in terms of that. And now we've seen him deliver since 2015 at Tottenham. Different regimes, different players around him. Dele Alli, Kane, Eriksen. He's had Maddison. He's had Lamela. He's had Kulusevski, and even in bad seasons, he still finds out to score 17, 18. I think he won a golden boot 2 seasons ago or something. I don't know. I think something like that. He finished as top scorer. And for a player who's playing like on the left,
Haaland has
and then in
scored.
second.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he finished first to second. I don't know. I think there's a time he won the golden boot, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
But he's very good. He's been very good for them. And if he leaves Tottenham, you can see them like struggling to like create and all that up front. Maybe, as you said, maybe not now, the last 2 seasons. Maybe it's better 3 years ago. But I still think he can score goals and stuff.
West Ham, we are in agreement. I thought about Edson Alvarez as my pick, but Kudus is a hard one for me not to take because, like, the way I like him, the way I rate him, I wouldn't even think twice about getting Mohamed Kudus. But his release clause is 85 million. And if he came in, do you think he's a player that I don't see? He doesn't strike me as a player that wants to be on the bench. He would, he would really complain for game time.
Now, this is another position I was undecided. I think I had 2 options in this one.
Jared Bowen as well.
Yeah, Kudus is good, very good since his Ajax days. Actually, I've been following him since his Ajax days because of Champions League fantasy and stuff. And I used to have him in my team. I used to watch a lot of Ajax games to see how he's doing. And he's playing like in the number 8 role, pushing forward. And now he's playing as a winger at West Ham. He's had an incredible first season. He's finishing the technique. Sometimes overhead kicks, volleys, makes it look easy. For Ghana as well, looks good, even though they eliminated Ali from the AFCON, he still looked very, very good for them. And I think in terms of starting I think he'll provide competition more than a backup. Yeah, he'd come and provide competition, and he's a player who can come on and score 2 goals, and people are like, "Oh, drop this guy! He'll play Kudus now."
I can see that. Yeah,
he'd be a very, very good player as well in terms of wing and taking on players and pace and dribbling. That is the guy for you. But I also went for Bowen. Because Bowen, in terms of goal scoring and that, we've seen that, and he can play as a striker and can play on the right side. And him coming from Hull City back in the day, Bowen, I think we've seen enough of Bowen to know that this guy can score goals, gets chances, finishes them, and both of them. I remember the game we played against them in the Carabao Cup. Both of them destroyed us. Kudus and Bowen absolutely destroyed us in that game.
Yeah. Now, at Wolves, I would go with Gomez.
Yeah,
he's relatively new to the scene. But their best player has been Ren Enori. No question there. I think he's been really, really good. Have a problem with him defensively. I think the positions he takes up on the pitch means that he can be a target. Gomez in that midfield role kind of reminds me of the traditional kind of midfielder, the traditional kind of Gerrard, Lampard-esque kind of player. Cazorla-esque. But again, I think Arsenal have somehow gone past that. Mikel Arteta's rules are very specific. and I don't think this is a very specific player. But I liked him, and honestly, this is more like an honorable mention to him than than I would rather go for him. But Ryan Enori and his defensive defensive questions. Do you think you get more defensive security from him more than Zinchenko?
I'm signing Nori from Wolves, but I'm not signing him to come and play as a defender. Midfielder, he would be absolutely incredible. And the runs he makes from left back, like if you're playing a team where you're going to have 95% possession, I would have Nori there because the driving runs up front. Sometimes I watch Wolves and Nori is at right back. Oh, he's at right wing. And I'm like, right wing is supposed to be left back, but the runs, it's like Okaraya, the energy is always there. Energy, 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 energy. So in terms of defensively better than Zinchenko, I'd say they're probably the same. So I would praise the players that you prefer. There are left backs and right backs that are better as midfielders. There are some that are better in a back five, just to have three defenders behind them. And that is the same way I felt about players like Bellerin and Kolasinac and Niles. I don't think those are back four players. I think Kolasinac was shining as a back five player. And Bellerin, maybe if you had to ask him, just run. Don't come back and defend. Right wing back would be great. So I feel the same with Aït-Nouri and Zinchenko, maybe players who would be better in different positions. And Aït-Nouri for Algeria as well, very good.
Thank you so much for watching the COSSY Arsenal podcast. This is COSSY and Glenn. We always come your way at exactly 9. Let's go and catch up with that German game. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.